Hello and welcome back. In the last session, we have seen how to make use of different locators. So far, we have seen ID, class name, accessibility ID, and XPath. So in XPath, we can also use find element by XPath method by providing the same string, similar to ID and class name, which we have used earlier. Okay. So what we will see today is UIAutomator. So which is Android UI Auto. Okay, so what we will do here is we will click on 6 here. So the syntax is slightly different for Android UI Automator. So in case of clicking on 6, the syntax will be ad dot find. So there is a method called find element by Android UI Automator. So here the syntax is we provide the text, okay, so which is one of the attribute, and the value is 6 here. So since we are putting the value in double quotes, we need to escape it. Okay, and then click on it. Okay, so this is one way of using Android UI Automator. The same way, if I want to click on, say for example 3, by using resource ID, what I need to do is ad dot find element by Android UI Automator, and then we need to give the exact property name along with the value here. Again, the value is this, and this value is in double quotes. Okay, and then dot. Okay, so let us escape this again. Okay, dot click. Okay, with this what we are trying to do is we are trying to click 6 and 3 by using different properties. The first one was text and the other one was a resource ID. The same way we can also use the content description. Since the digits doesn't have any content description, so let me click on delete. Okay, the content description is delete. So ad dot find element by Android Automator, and here the content description is content description, and inside the bracket the value is delete. Okay, again escape it. Click. So here we have added 3 statements, wherein the first statement, by using Android UI Automator, will click on 6 and then digit 3, and finally it will click on delete. So we should end up with only 6. Okay, so let us save this and then right click and run as Java application. Okay, so it has clicked on 6 first, and let us see why it didn't click on 3. Okay, now it says UI selector has no resource ID method. Whenever we find element by Android UI Automator, whenever we use this method, internally it will go and make use of this UI selector class. And this UI selector class has got a method called text, but it didn't find any method called resource ID, resource hyphen ID. Neither there is a method called content description. Purposely I have made it as resource ID. Okay, so let us look at UI selector class. Okay, so if you look at UI selector class, then so what is that we are trying to do here? A resource ID. Okay, so let us search for a resource. And there is a method called resource ID, not a resource hyphen ID. Okay, as you can see, there is a resource ID method. So we will change this to resource ID. Okay, so there is a method called resource ID. From resource hyphen ID, we change it to resource capital I and D. Okay, now let us look at the description part, content description. Okay, content description is nothing but there is a method called description. Okay, set the search criteria to match the content description property of a widget. So there is a description method. Instead of content description, we should make use of description. Okay, so let me repeat this. Whenever we use find element by Android UI Automator, internally it will go and it will create an object of UI selector and it will invoke the method based on what we have passed into the method. Okay, so UI selector has got a method called text and resource ID and description. So let us save this and run this. Okay, as you can see, now the code we got is the response code we got is 200 and we are left with only 6. So it clicked on 6 first and then digit 3 and then delete. Okay, so this is how we can make use of Android UI Automator method. So this is also one of the locator strategy. Whenever you use find element by Android UI Automator, you should know which method internally it invokes, and this is the reference for UI selector class. That is the end of this session, and we will see you in the next session. Thanks for watching.